Hey everyone, welcome to our second podcast of After Reviewing Play. Tonight we'll be talking about two topics, and the first topic will be why quarterbacks Cam Newton and Jameis Winston are still on free agency and have not found a team yet. And then we'll delve into our second topic for tonight, which is, in our opinion, the best and the worst jerseys in the NFL. Tonight I bring to you our analysts again, Garrick, Taylor, Tom, and tonight we bring in another analyst, Eli. So guys, our first topic, why haven't Cam Newton and Jameis Winston found an NFL team yet?
Well, that's good to bring up. First of all, welcome Eli to the party, to the art party. I really do. I want to talk about Cam first, and as you can see, Eli is a big Carolina fan, so I'm pretty sure he has a lot to say about Cam Newton and everything. So I'm just going to let him talk about it first. And I want to hear his opinion before I say anything.
Sure, yeah, Garrick, thanks for having me, guys. To start off on Cam Newton though, it was sad to see him go. Drafted back in 2010, number one draft pick. Former MVP, led Carolina to a Super Bowl 2015. The fact that he doesn't have a job though now, I think is since all this, COVID-19 stuff came around, I don't think anybody knows how healthy he is. I mean, everybody saw that he said he was 100% healthy last year in the preseason after he came off that shoulder surgery. And what happened, I guess it wasn't a shoulder, but in the first preseason game, I think it was the second preseason game against the Patriots, he was in for like three plays. And then there he goes limping off the sideline. And it was a foot injury. So then it's like, okay, well, this guy can't stay healthy. He hasn't been healthy since 2015. And he hasn't made the playoffs in, I think, back-to-back years. I mean, so he's a 30-year-old, which is not that old. But like I said, coming off injuries. And now there's not a lot of, stuff out there saying that he's 100%. There's workout videos and everything like that. But I mean, Colin Kaepernick had workout videos too. He doesn't have a job either. But I love Cam. I really do. Another thing is, I think maybe if he has a manager at this point, they might want to wait and see after the draft goes. He doesn't want to be a backup, so he wants to see the teams that are going for the quarterbacks. And he wants to see who is really going to be, interested in making him a franchise quarterback. He doesn't want to make the same mistake that I think Mike Glennon made when Chicago signed him, to a big deal, and then they went out and got Mitchell Trubisky, and now where's Mike Glennon? I mean, he doesn't want to make that same mistake. So I think maybe that's why he might be holding off because he can afford to wait, I think.
Okay.
Well, it has to be health related. I don't think there's any other reason why Chicago wouldn't have gone out and snatched him up. I think that's a good strategy to wait to see what team drafts a rookie, and that team might say, "Yeah, we like this rookie, but we don't want to put them out there week one. We don't even want them to play the first season." And I think Tua fits into that category of someone you don't want to put out there right away. And Justin Herbert, I don't think you want to put out there right away. And pretty much everyone after that, Julian Love, every quarterback after that, I don't think they should be playing, other than Joe Burrow. Burrow is the only one who should go out there week one. So you want someone like Cam Newton not only to compete for your team and win and possibly compete for the Super Bowl, but also to mentor and get ready. Is he going to be a franchise quarterback? Is he going to play another 5-6 years? Probably not. I think he has a couple good years left in him. But yeah, like I said, Rona, speaking of Tua, he has tape that shows he's healthy, but now reports are coming out that he's not. And you can't poke and prod the players like you want to right now. That's got to be the only reason. I don't think it's over money, because if he can play like he's supposed to play, even at his age, he's worth whatever he's asking. I don't know if there's any reports about what he's asking. But when we get to Jameis, in my opinion, I think it's over money. That's the only reason he doesn't sign. Probably wants too much money.
Oh, yeah. Winston's going to have a lot of different – be all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. With Cam, I mean, you have to go strictly in the beginning. It has to be health wise. Like Eli said, he was deemed healthiest he's been in 2-3 years last off season. Preseason injuries aside, whatever. How many games did he play, Eli, before he went down for the season?
He played 2.
2 games.
Yeah, 2 games.
And he struggled to throw the ball, 15 yards?
He didn't. I don't think he threw a touchdown pass since it was week 12 of the 2018 season.
See,
That's
so
how
you
bad
have
it was.
you have those concerns about the shoulder, and then whatever other injury concerns he had this past season, and now with COVID, of course, you can't bring him in for a workout. You can't check him out.
Right.
Ideally, the best situation for Cam would be maybe you hear rumors that Bill Belichick's going to be looking at maybe drafting a quarterback even in the first round, maybe a Jordan Love, maybe a Jake Fromm in the second or third. But naturally, like Tom says, unless you're Joe Burrow, you're probably not going to be playing this year. Cam, ideally, if he is healthy, can play 2 or 3 good years. Maybe you go the Aaron Rodgers route. Let him sit behind someone for 2 or 3 years. And then you have a Jake Fromm, you have a Herbert, you have a Tua, whoever, for the next decade plus. I think the years of Cam being the face of a franchise for, a long term, it's behind him.
That's out the window. Yeah. I think it's out the window.
Well, not only is he
least
30, but if you look at I'm sure Eli has seen the hits that this guy has taken, and I mean,
They're brutal.
and the refs let teams get away with murder when it comes to Cam. When it came to Cam, they would never allow that. And I think he didn't get treated
Tom
fairly
Brady.
because he was so big and so fast.
And
That they're like, oh, you can take it. You're a running back, basically.
The LeBron James
So they would never let
exactly.
anyone touch Aaron Rodgers the way that the Cam was allowed to get assaulted.
LeBron, the Shaq, the guys that are bigger than they should be for their position.
Yeah. So they absolutely
They get calls differently.
shots.
100% agree.
And
So
and
he's-
this is just to stir the pot a little bit. Do you think that any of this has something to do with the pride that Cam has? For instance, do you think that he'd want to be someone's he wants to pass the torch to some rookie quarterback? How much of it has to do with the fact that he's black? Just like Eli mentioned with Cam or with Kaepernick, Cap worked out. We all know why Cap's not in the league. Is the same thing applied to Cam? Is he under the same scrutiny that someone like Kaepernick is, or even the Tim Tebow effect, where you can't have someone like Cam come into your situation and not play him, not start him, even if you don't want that as your intention?
I don't think he's going to be under the same scrutiny as Kaepernick did, because Cam Newton doesn't have the same, at least making public, that Kaepernick did. He doesn't come out and talk about, the police brutality or whatever, people's views were back then about the civil rights and all that stuff. Taking the knee against it, Cam's always stood. He's always done what the owner has wanted. I mean, there were rumors, being a Panther fan, that our ex-owner, about the sexual misconduct, maybe he said racist slurs, but he had all love for that guy, but he did nothing but do what he wanted to. So I think other GMs would see he's always been a good guy off the field too, good with the community, whatever. Nothing but good things. He's a cocky, but he's also done a lot of good things for communities and coaching staffs love him. So I think an owner would bring him in 100%. I don't think it's anything like that.
No, Taylor just reminded me with that dab that doesn't Cam always give the football to a little kid in the stands after every single touchdown?
Cam is a great guy.
He only showed little. I don't even want to say there's shades of being a diva, but when he was younger and his father was protecting him as far as the contract, that was the only time I think Cam. Some teams I've been like, oh, he's asking, or he's got an attitude problem. But no, his father was making sure that his son, who was the best quarterback at the time, especially as a rookie coming into the league, first overall pick, wanted to make sure his son was going to get paid.
And that's where the Scam Newton things came in, and that was all with college. He originally
that was all when he was with Florida.
And then all that came out, and then he went to a JUCO college, and then went to Auburn for 1 year. But yeah, the only problem people see is maybe he was cocky. He danced around a lot. Players didn't like that. Other players didn't like that. Opposing players.
Exactly.
But as you can see, a lot of his teammates loved him. And you see what happened with Carolina after, Kuechly and all them retired, and then rumors that Cam wasn't going to be around. All these players were like, well, I don't even know. That would be dumb. Why would you let him go? You know what I mean? And
Well, you got Robbie Anderson now.
yeah. I mean, we have probably, and I'm not talking about the Panthers here. I know we're not on a spew about the Panthers, but in my opinion, I feel like they did Cam wrong because now they have, in my opinion, probably a top 10 receiver trio in the NFL, and I don't think Cam ever had that. He had 1 year with Steve Smith and then Kelvin right tackle Benjamin. Yeah.
300-pound receiver.
Yeah. So that's just my take on it. I'm going to stop talking now. It's all your guys.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Well, Jameis, shall we touch on Jameis?
All right, like let's pick up right on Jameis. So Jameis had one of the most impressive years as a starting quarterback in NFL last year, at least as far as yards and touchdowns. Like he threw 30 plus. He threw 33 touchdowns. Yes, he threw 30 interceptions, but he was actually 8th in receiving in passing yards all time. Like he threw for over 5,100 yards. Not too many people have done that. Everyone else who has done it is basically a Hall of Famer, with the exception of Matt Stafford. So why doesn't this guy have a job?
I have an interesting fact to state too. Is okay. Bruce Arians, it was his first year with Tampa Bay last year, correct?
Yes.
And it was a stat I was reading is that I know he led the league in interceptions, correct?
Right.
With 30. And it was his first year under Bruce Arians, and the other two quarterbacks that led the league in interceptions with a first-year Bruce Arians offense was Andrew Luck and Carson Palmer.
That's very interesting. See, and that's what I'm saying. Is that is the Bruce Arians motto. And Dirk Cutter, who was Jameis Winston's coordinator / head coach beforehand, also was one of those guys that just lets the ball loose. And I forget what Arians' full motto is, but it's pretty much you gotta you're not gonna win unless you throw the ball 50-50 balls. You gotta make sure that you are trying your best to get the ball downfield, and that is his motto. If you throw an interception, fine, that you throw an interception, but you can't throw touchdowns unless you try, and that's Arians' motto for the most part. And Jameis did exactly what the coach asked him to do, and he did it pretty well. Their team was not a bad team, and yet this guy is getting thrown under the bus for doing what the coach told him to do, and that's just wrong.
Well, that's why I think he needs to go somewhere that has a quarterback guru. I don't want to say he's too old to learn new tricks, but if they could teach some things out of him, teach him to, like when I play Madden, I refuse to throw the ball away. I refuse. But sometimes you have to throw the ball away. If the play is broken, throw it away.
And that's the thing. Like it's funny that they go from they go from Jameis Winston to Brady, Brady has been taught his whole 20-year career to throw the ball away. Don't give the defense don't put the defense in a bad situation.
I was watching the Super Bowl, the Giants Super Bowl. It was airing on Fox because it was the biggest game ever played. Young Wes Welker ran the wrong route. Yeah, and Brady just threw it away and then screamed at him. But he didn't try and force him the ball. He just threw it away.
Right, and that's what Brady does all the time. If he doesn't like something, he throws it away, and that's why he's had such a long career. I don't want to get on this whole Brady tangent, but that's what he does. Like he protects the ball, lets the defense win, and when it comes time to where the game is out of reach, he will try to win the game. Like the game against the Falcons where he had to air it out all day, against the Philadelphia Eagles when he had to air the ball out all day, and Jameis, for the most part, did the same thing. And he had two coaches that wanted him to do that, but yet he's the one that's getting slighted for doing what the coaches told him to do.
Well, either way you slice it, he's not – the fact that he's not signed, it doesn't do with talent necessarily. He's still young, former number one overall pick, and you don't throw 30 touchdowns and feed 2,000-yard receivers with a lack of talent. He's got the arm talent, but like you guys say, it's a Bruce Arians offense. It's an aired-out offense. They had almost zero running game over in Tampa Bay.
Zero.
He doesn't throw the ball.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they did not have the running game to create that kind of separation.
So Peyton
for receivers.
Barber or Ronald Jones, all those guys didn't even know who's going to start each week. They had a different starter every week. There's no running game over there. But when you're carrying 2,000-yard receivers and a stud O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, a bunch of passing weapons over there, and an aired-out offense, yeah, he's going to throw some picks, especially if he doesn't know how to throw the ball away. But when you carry when you feed 2,000-yard receivers, there's talent there. So maybe he's not signed yet because he for sure wants to start, and teams that need a quarterback are going to see how the draft plays out. Or maybe he's going to play the injury route and wait to see what happens after week 4, week 5, week 6, and maybe someone picks him up then.
I think the biggest problem is I think he wants $30 million a year. I don't think any team wants to pay that much for someone that they might think or might want him for maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe at most. But they're not going to pay $30 million a year. I don't think any teams are in that position.
Right.
I think Miami probably needs a decent starting quarterback. Who are they going to start this year?
Well, there's Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's still there, but like everyone's assuming that Miami is still going to draft Tua. I know
they will
coming
but
up.
He's not. Even if he's healthy, I don't think he should start.
He needs to get a year at least.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of these teams are in the mode, like even the Washington Redskins, where we have a quarterback in that's in waiting, or they're going to start him, where they don't want to bring in a veteran quarterback who's expected to start. All these teams that are drafting rookies or expected to draft rookies, like Cincinnati, the Chargers, Miami, they're not expected to bring in a quarterback who's expected to start and that's young enough to where you don't want to just have him kick rocks after one season. So I think that's the conundrum is you have these two, and I do think that a lot of teams view them as diva quarterbacks, and they don't want them to come in and cause a stir when they expect their young or their young quarterbacks or even future quarterbacks for teams who are expecting to draft Clemson's quarterback next year. They don't want to mess that up because they have a long-term plan, and Cam and Jameis will not fit into that long-term plan.
There are some good quarterbacks coming out next year too.
Yes, there is.
Justin Fields and there's the kid from Baylor and Brewer. Like there's plenty of talent coming out. So you do have to plan for the future. Which is why I don't think anyone's going to give Jameis a 6-year contract for 30.
No, and to feed into the Jameis thing, I know I just made this up just by talking with you guys. It could be a little conspiracy theory, but Ron Rivera went over to Washington because you guys
son of a bitch.
Yeah, sorry. And they were just interviewing their GM or Ron, and they still want Dwayne Haskins. They think he is their future. They are just worried that he is not on pace like he should be. So I don't know. I mean, it could just make sense to him. Maybe bring in Jameis Winston for like maybe 1 or 2 years because he knows a lot about him. I mean, they face 2 times a year. So, I mean, he knows about him. So maybe he could be someone that can mentor, a guy like Dwayne Haskins.
I think it makes more sense to bring Cam there for that reason that Rivera obviously knows him in and out.
I like that one.
And Haskins was not ready to
he was not ready.
He was not ready to play. That was not the plan. Alex Smith got hurt.
And but like Eli brought up a good topic. I want to actually read off all the quarterbacks that are the quote unquote paper QB1s that are on teams right now, and if Jameis and Cam are better than them. I mean, there's Phillip Rivers, who I don't like. Phillip Rivers is an anomaly. I don't know how him and his noodle arm have lasted for so long.
Couldn't agree more. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's Nick Foles, or like in Chicago. I don't know if he's the quote unquote QB1. I don't know if he's in a quarterback controversy with Mitchell Trubisky, but
it's a battle in Chicago right now.
Exactly, and it's like a battle for suck. Like both of them are. I would take Cam or Jameis over either of them. There's Jarrett Stidham, who we don't even know about. Tyrod Taylor, Teddy Bridgewater. There's Derek Carr. There's Jared Goff. There's Carson Wentz. There's even Baker Mayfield. I mean, there are a lot of teams that could probably upgrade with Jameis and/or Cam. And how can both of these guys not have a job with so many teams that are needy for a quarterback? Or it's mind-boggling to me.
That goes back to Tom saying the Cam thing, 100%, it's got to be injury and all the other stuff. Winston, it's just probably the turnovers, and people think he's a diva. And, I mean, his biggest flaw since coming out of college, I know he was the number 1 pick, but they always said was turnovers. Turnovers was his problem. He's never – and in my opinion, he hasn't really gotten better with turnovers since he's been in the league. I mean, every year he's thrown over 10 interceptions. I mean, he came in the league through 15. The next year he threw 18. The next year he threw 11. The next year he threw 14. And then he threw 30. I mean, it's very consistent with the turnovers. It doesn't seem like he's getting any better. And that's just what I'm reading now is he's just – I don't know if he's not – I mean, he listened to the coach, obviously. He aired it out, and, I mean, he had 30 touchdowns. He had 28 in 2016. But, I mean – I just think it's maybe the consistency he's not getting better on, and maybe coaches see that as, oh, well, he doesn't want to study doesn't want to watch film, or he's, like Tom said, doesn't want to throw the ball away. Mean, if it's been 5-6 years and you're still doing the same thing, I mean, something's got to give, right?
Right.
I think a lot of the quarterbacks you mentioned, Garrick, I think are placeholders. Tyrod Taylor, Phillip Rivers, just a placeholder. Teddy, probably a placeholder.
I think so too.
Yeah. A lot of those teams, obviously in the Bears, they don't know what direction they're going to go in, but neither of those guys are the future. They're probably looking for next year's quarterback draft.
I mean, it's very possible, and it is one of those things where you don't want to bring in a quarterback that is in their quarterback prime in Winston. And Winston is young; he's not even 27 yet. And the fact that he can't get a job, and like I think that's the thing. He's at that scary point to where you can't bring him in, and he's going to perform. He's it wouldn't surprise me if Jameis Winston became the new Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I was just gonna say Ryan Fitzpatrick because you can't get rid of the guy because he won't stop throwing friggin' touchdowns. He just won't stop.
He won't he is good enough to always play, but not good enough to where it's like, all right, we need to franchise this guy. We need to make sure he is our quarterback of the future because
you can't put your feet up and say, okay, yeah, we have our quarterback. You have to watch Fitzpatrick like, oh shit, like, what's he gonna do next?
Exactly, and it's a whole Jekyll and Hyde thing with Jameis Winston, but that Jekyll, or I don't know if you want to call Jekyll or Hyde the better one, but when he's on, he can be on fire, and he like his receivers loved him. I don't know why they wouldn't, because they're Pro Bowlers and he made them a lot of money. But that's the thing. He is going to get your receivers yards. He is going to be fun. He is going to be an explosive player for an offense. And if you can get a defense around him, which they just started building in Tampa Bay, like you could have a Super Bowl worthy quarterback on your team.
Excuse me.
Really, because one thing you don't want is a quarterback that's afraid to throw the ball or afraid to get yelled at for throwing an interception. I kind of remember that from Eli Manning's early days, because Coughlin went to him and said he's not going to get mad like a child. He's not going to get mad at him if he throws an interception. Like you gotta throw the ball. Like, you have to. And that's one thing I liked about Manning is he's never afraid to throw the ball. And he's got plenty of interceptions.
So for you guys, when week 1 of the 2020 season starts, will either of these players be on an NFL team? Yes or no?
I think Jameis will. I don't think Cam will, and I think it's just health. If you cannot throw the ball, not healthy, it's just not going to happen. But Jameis will get a job. I think it will be because someone else gets hurt, or something will fall into place where they're like, oh shit, pick up the phone, call Jameis, and bring him in. I think he's the first one that's going to get called.
I think Jameis will be the first one to get called, but I think both of them won't be on the team. I think, like I mentioned earlier, after the draft and all that stuff, all the roster building starts happening, Cam will get picked up. It either becomes in the offseason after, the off the cuts and making the 53-man roster and all that stuff. So he'll get picked up somewhere. I guess he's just too. If the big if is what all the teams are looking at, if he's healthy, like he claims, he's just too good of an athlete to keep off of a team on the field. He's just too good. He's gonna be.
I think he sells tickets. He sells tickets too, and jerseys. The Patriots cannot put Stidham out there because they put him out there in garbage time against the Jets, and it made like front page news because he blew the spread because they had like a 4-possession lead, and he let it evaporate in 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. So everyone was livid over that. Headline news. So Stidham might do something in the future, but not right now.
This is your MC Manny. Thank you again to Taylor, Derek, Tom, and Eli for tonight. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Be safe.
Good night. Be safe.